There is no one to change but self. You may search the world over for validation, affection, loyalty, or love, but unless you carry those gifts first within your own heart, you shall see nothing but the absence of them reflected back at you. The world is not separate from you. It is your mirror, a precise and faithful echo of your inner conversations, your secret feelings, your unspoken beliefs. Every face that smiles or scorns you is but your own self in disguise, returning to you what you whispered into the mirror of the infinite. Many cry out, "Why don't they love me?" And I say to them, do you love yourself? For if you truly did, the world would have no choice but to adore you. It is law. Imagine standing before a mirror and frowning, then blaming the reflection for what you see. That is what man does when he seeks love outside himself without first becoming love within. He begs the image to change, when all along, the command lies in his own being. There is no lover greater than self-love, not vanity, not arrogance, but the deep recognition that I am the one the world responds to. I am not waiting to be chosen. I am the chooser. I am not hoping to be adored. I am adoration itself. When I embody love, I do not chase it. It flows to me without effort, for the mirror cannot lie. If you believe you are unworthy, the world shall faithfully mirror that. If you believe you are radiant, magnetic, divine, then that is the only reflection you will ever meet. And here is the marvelous mystery. You need not lift a finger to make it happen. Your only task is to assume the state of one who is already loved, already admired, already enough. And the world, being nothing more than yourself pushed out, will conform with immaculate precision. I tell you, the one who loves themselves truly, not in pretense, but in the silence of being, cannot help but be loved by all. People will feel your vibration and not know why they are drawn to you. Opportunities will open, faces will soften, affections will return. But it is not they who have changed, it is you. And they, being your reflection, simply mirror your new self. So love yourself, not as a concept, but as an experience. Sit with the feeling of being adored. Dwell in the consciousness of being enough. Whisper silently to yourself, I am loved because I am love. And then watch as the mirror smiles back. The outer world is only a mirror of your inner self-concept. The greatest illusion man entertains is the belief in separation. The belief that the world exists independently of himself, that people act upon him, that circumstances befall him, that events occur regardless of his inner world. But this is not so. The world, with all its faces, all its voices, all its dramas, is but a stage upon which you watch your own inner thoughts take shape and play out. There is no one and nothing outside of you that is not reflecting back the exact state you dwell in. Your innermost assumptions, the silent tones of your being, the image you hold of yourself. Man is forever creating, not by effort, not by toil, but by the simple act of being. Your self-concept, the way you feel yourself to be, is the cause of all that you see and experience. If you imagine yourself to be small, unloved, unworthy, the world must echo that vibration. You may not speak it aloud, but if in the silence of your soul you whisper, I am unwanted, then even the kindest faces will eventually turn away. The mirror cannot lie. And what is this mirror? It is the subconscious projection of your own state of consciousness. You are not here to beg the world for anything. You are here to command it by entering the state that you wish to see reflected. When you change how you see yourself, not through words, but through deep inner conviction, the entire world must follow. That is the law. It is immutable and impersonal. The moment you assume something to be true of yourself, the mirror begins its work. Perhaps you have noticed how, when you feel beautiful within, others treat you with admiration. When you walk with certainty, doors open before you. And when you feel unworthy, even kindness feels suspicious or rare. This is not coincidence. This is your own inner world painting itself on the canvas of experience. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. There is no escape from the self. Everywhere you go, there you are. And if you try to change people without changing the concept you hold of yourself, you will always find the same patterns repeated in different masks. The names may change, but the script remains the same. This is not punishment, but mercy. For if the world is only a mirror, then you do not need to fix anyone or anything outside of you. You only need to revise yourself, to lift your concept of self to the level you desire to live at. If you wish to be loved, do not try to make others love you. Simply assume the feeling of being already loved and walk in that state. The mirror must respond. Children do this naturally. A child believes he is a superhero, and you will see it in his walk. He believes he is a dork, and he radiates it. But man, taught by the world to look without rather than within, has forgotten his creative power. He thinks his worth is determined by opinions, his future by chances, his love by another's choice. But all along, it is his self-concept calling forth every scene. If you would change your life, begin by watching the tone of your being. How do you feel yourself to be? Not what do you tell others, but what do you whisper to yourself in the quiet moments? Do you feel empowered or overlooked? Do you walk with certainty or with doubt? These states are not neutral, they are causative. They are seeds, and the world is your garden. You cannot plant fear and reap joy. You cannot plant, "I am not enough," and harvest abundance. The seed contains the fruit. So when you look at the world and say, "They don't respect me," remember, they are only respecting your inner concept. When you say, "They don't see me," remember, they can only see what you reveal through your own self-belief. The moment you shift your concept, the world must shift too. It cannot resist. It has no choice. The mirror does not argue. To live consciously is to take responsibility for the state you dwell in. It is to know that everything and everyone is you pushed out. And if you wish to dwell in a new world, you need only occupy a new self. Begin to feel yourself as the one who is already what you desire to be. Not someday, but now. Not "I will be," but "I am." That inner change, that shift in concept, is the birth of a new reflection. Wait not for others to confirm it. Assume it boldly and persist, and the world, being your faithful mirror, will show you what you have dared to believe. This is the secret hidden in plain sight. All is self, all is consciousness, and the outer world has never been anything but your reflection. Love must first be felt within before it appears without. It is not the world that withholds love from you. It is your own disbelief in your worthiness of love that keeps it at a distance. Man cries out for affection, for loyalty, for warmth, but fails to examine the origin of all these expressions. He wanders the corridors of human relationship, seeking someone to affirm him, to prove that he is lovable, valuable, chosen. Yet the very act of seeking reveals that he does not believe it to be so. He looks outside to correct an absence within, and in so doing, he makes himself a beggar in a world that only gives to those who already possess. This is the great paradox of love, that it cannot be found until it is felt, and it cannot be felt until it is first accepted within the self. To believe you are unloved is to shut the door against every loving gesture. To imagine yourself as abandoned is to summon abandonment. The outer world, your relationships, your interactions, the way others regard you, is not the cause, but the consequence. It is the effect of the emotional tone you carry within. All things move from within to without. What you see in another's eyes is only what you believe about yourself. If you feel adored, if you feel chosen, if you feel treasured within, others cannot help but reflect that perception. It will come through their body language, their words, their presence. They do not know why they are drawn to you, but you will know. You will know that they are responding to the secret love you have first kindled within yourself. To love yourself is not to admire your appearance, nor to praise your achievements. It is to feel, without need of external proof, that you are already enough, that you are already a being of value, of beauty, of deep significance. This is not vanity. This is truth. And when you accept it, when you dwell in the feeling of being loved, the outer world bends and reshapes itself to comply. Many wait for another to show them love before they grant it to themselves. They make their self-image dependent on another's approval. And so their love becomes conditional, fragile, easily broken. The moment affection is withheld, they collapse. But one who loves themselves first, who walks in the certainty of inner worth, cannot be shaken. They are the source, not the echo. They give love without fear, because they are not in need. And because they are not in need, love flows to them without resistance. This is the invisible magnetism that so many marvel at. Why is one person adored wherever they go, while another is ignored? It is not charm, nor wit, nor beauty. It is state. It is the internal position they occupy. One who assumes they are lovable cannot help but be treated as such. It may not happen instantly, but it must happen, for the law is unfailing. Feeling precedes experience. Emotion precedes expression. The inner must come before the outer. There is no need to chase, to manipulate, to plead for love. That which is felt deeply within will draw its outer counterpart without effort. If you close your eyes and dwell in the feeling of being cherished, not by a specific person, but by life itself, you set in motion an unseen chain of events. The world responds to your vibration, your conviction, your knowing. Even when appearances suggest rejection, if you remain faithful to your inner state of being loved, the outer must conform. Perhaps not through the same people, perhaps not in the same places, but the reflection must come. For the mirror does not generate its own image, it only reflects yours. And when you bring love to the mirror, it returns the same. The tragedy is not that people are unloved. It is that they refuse to love themselves first. They wait for permission, for proof, for evidence. But life gives not to the one who waits. It gives to the one who assumes. Assume you are loved deeply, wildly, unconditionally. Assume it before it shows up. Assume it not once, but persistently. Let that assumption become your dwelling place, your atmosphere, your truth. And from that place, speak, move, and live. Do not seek love, radiate it. Do not hope for attention, embody it. Let others marvel at the peace and confidence that flows from you, and let their reflection serve only as a confirmation of what you already knew. That you are love, that you are lovable, that you were never waiting for someone to love you. You were waiting to love yourself enough to allow it. Self-concept is the cause, other people are only the effect. Every experience you've had with another human being has been shaped not by who they truly are, but by who you believe yourself to be. The world of others, their actions, their words, even their emotions toward you, are not the initiators of your reality. They are the responders. They answer to the signal you broadcast, the atmosphere you carry, and most of all, the concept you hold of yourself. The self is the seed, all others are its flowering. Change the seed, and you must change the garden. Man, in his forgetfulness, looks outward for the cause of his life. He blames the disinterest of a lover, the criticism of a parent, the rejection of a friend, as if those events were the source of his pain. But these are only mirrors, nothing more. They are reflections of the state he occupies inwardly. And until he revises that inner image, the mirror must continue to show him the same face, the same pattern, the same emotional story, again and again. If you see yourself as insignificant, you will attract those who ignore you. If you carry the belief that you are not enough, then others will seem to confirm that belief. It is not because they are cruel, but because you have unknowingly instructed them, through your self-concept, how to behave. The world obeys the self-image without question. It molds itself to fit the assumption you have accepted. It is not the opinion of others you need to change. It is the opinion you hold of yourself. There is only one cause, and it lies within. The great deception is the belief in external authority. When you give others the power to determine your worth, you become a servant to shadows. But the moment you reclaim that power and begin to see yourself through the eyes of love, through the lens of wholeness, everything and everyone begins to shift. Relationships that once wounded you soften, conflicts dissolve, attention returns. Not because others changed, but because your concept did. To understand this is to be free. For if others are merely effects, then there is no longer a need to struggle for their approval or chase their validation. You are not at the mercy of their moods. You are the architect. And by entering a new assumption of yourself, by quietly claiming a different version of who you are, you summon forth a different version of them as well. People play the role you assign them, often without knowing it. The unkind lover becomes gentle when you see yourself as worthy of tenderness. The distant friend becomes warm when you stop fearing abandonment. The critical world becomes encouraging when you carry the vibration of being enough. This is not imagination in the sense of fantasy, but in the truest sense of reality's blueprint. Imagination, when married to belief, becomes creation, and your concept of self, repeated often enough, becomes the law of your world. It is not your effort that moves mountains. It is your assumption. An assumption rests in self-concept. You need not announce these changes to others. There is no need to declare, I am different now. The inner shift, once made, will speak for itself. It will alter your tone, your posture, your energy, and these subtle movements are sensed by all who encounter you. Without saying a word, you begin to invite new treatment, new circumstances, new reflections. You may have believed that others were withholding love, opportunity, or attention. But in truth, you were the one holding back. By refusing to see yourself as the one who naturally receives them, the instant you revise that inner blueprint, the outer world rushes to catch up. Like clay responding to the mold, reality reshapes itself to match the contour of your belief. Even the most stubborn patterns, the most persistent players in your life, cannot resist a new self-concept. They are not bound to you by their own will, but by the part of you they are reflecting. Change your part, and they either change with you or fall away to make room for those who do. So examine not what others are doing, but who you are being. Ask not, why do they treat me this way? But rather, what must I believe about myself for this to occur? And then, without anger or guilt, choose again. Choose to become the one for whom life flows gently, for whom love is natural, for whom joy is expected. Do not wait to see the change. Become the change in silence. Others will follow. They must. They always do. To be loved by others, you must assume the state of being lovable. There is no other path until you assume the state, not merely think of it, not simply wish for it, but fully embody the state of being lovable. You cannot experience it from another. You may receive temporary affection, momentary attention, even verbal declarations of love, but unless the assumption takes root within your own consciousness, it will not remain. For it is not what others do that matters. It is what you believe they are doing in relation to how you see yourself. You cannot assume rejection and receive affection. You cannot dwell in the feeling of being invisible and expect to be noticed. The law is always in motion, and the law is that the world reflects your assumption. Others only mirror back to you the tone you carry, the emotional climate you inhabit, and the role you have accepted in your inner theater. If you see yourself as someone to be pitied, the world will respond in kind. If you see yourself as someone to be adored, life has no choice but to affirm that vision. The mistake most make is in waiting for external confirmation before making the inner shift. They wait for a lover to prove their worth, a friend to offer reassurance, or society to validate their presence. But this is building a house upon sand. The moment the outer validation is withdrawn, as it always will be if the inner belief is not present, the structure collapses. Only when love is assumed first does it become permanent in the outer world. To assume the state of being lovable is not an intellectual practice. It is a felt experience. It is to dwell in the sensation that you are already deeply cherished, not by a specific person, not for a specific reason, but because your very being radiates value. It is to close your eyes and feel yourself as the one who naturally receives warmth, kindness, devotion, because you have made those feelings your home. This is not performance. You do not need to become more attractive, more interesting, more anything. You need only drop the illusion that you are lacking. You must accept yourself as the one who is already lovable, already enough, already the embodiment of that which others seek. And in this quiet assumption, the world begins to change its behavior toward you. People cannot help but treat you according to your own belief about yourself. They are not reading your mind. They are reading your energy, your posture, your gaze, your tone. They are responding to the invisible message you are constantly sending. This is how I expect to be treated. And the message is sent long before a word is spoken. The beauty of this law is in its simplicity. You do not need to control others. You do not need to persuade or convince. You need only to become the state and remain in it, to return to it again and again until it is so familiar, so natural, that anything contrary feels foreign. At first, the old self may resist, doubt may rise, but persist. The state will eventually harden into fact. Let your mornings begin with the feeling of being loved, not by someone else, but by the universal presence of love itself. Let your evenings close with the sensation of being held in affection, not because of what you've done, but because of what you are. The more you dwell in this assumption, the more the world will echo it back through smiles, gestures, invitations, and confirmations. Do not ask, when will they love me? That question presumes absence. Instead, declare within, I am already loved. And feel the truth of that statement. Let it become your vibration. Let it become your atmosphere. And in time, people will come to reflect it. They must. For no one escapes the law. All are instruments playing the tune. You are humming in silence. You were never unloved. You were only unaware of the love that was always trying to reach you, blocked by your own refusal to assume the state. The moment you step into the feeling of being lovable, you open the door. You become receptive, and all that you once chased begins to move toward you. So do not wait. Begin now. Assume the state, and the world will assume it with you. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are the one who chooses. Choose to be lovable, and you shall be loved. Not as a reward, but as a reflection of the truth you dared to believe. Change yourself, and the world, like a mirror, will change accordingly. The world does not originate its own direction. It does not decide of itself what it shall show you. It is not an independent force acting upon you from the outside. It is a perfect reflector. It shows you what you are, not what you say you are, not what you hope to be, not even what you pretend to be, but what you truly believe and accept yourself to be in the silence of your own inner chamber. The outer world bends only in response to the contours of the self. This truth may startle the intellect, for the senses are loud and persistent. They scream for attention, showing you 1,000 reasons to believe the outer world is real and independent, fixed and separate. But when you truly observe, you find that what appears without is always trailing what has been accepted within. Every change in your relationships, in your finances, in your health, in your circumstances, every single one, has followed a change, however subtle, in your state of being. To change the world, you must begin by changing the only thing you ever really have authority over: your concept of self. This is not the self that smiles at others or wears a mask of confidence. This is the self that wakes with you in the morning and speaks to you before sleep. The self that whispers behind your words, that colors your actions with belief or doubt, that sets the tone of your days. This inner self is the projector, and life, your outer reality, is the screen. You may try to polish the mirror, paint over it, rearrange what is reflected. But until you change the image being projected, the reflection will return again and again. This is why patterns repeat, why the same people show up in different bodies, why no matter how hard one tries to control the world, it resists, because the world is not to be controlled. It is to be accepted as a mirror and used as a feedback system for your internal transformation. When you change yourself, you do not need to tell others. You do not need to fix them, argue with them, or seek their agreement. You only need to quietly occupy a new state and persist in it. If you believe you are now someone who is respected, the world must mirror that. If you believe you are now abundant, opportunities must arise to confirm it. If you accept that you are now loved, the faces you meet will carry warmth you once thought was absent, not because they changed, but because you did. The mirror principle is absolute. It does not fail, but it does require inner honesty. You cannot declare, "I am confident," while harboring the deep belief that you are inferior. The world will always bypass your surface words and respond to your emotional signature. What you truly feel to be true of yourself will be echoed back in circumstances. This is not punishment or reward. It is not moral. It is mechanical, a divine law operating with precision and grace. And once understood, it frees you from the exhausting task of trying to bend the world to your will. You no longer fear what others think, because you know that what they think of you is merely your own belief about how others see you. You no longer feel powerless in the face of life's events, because you have learned that events come to you by the law of resonance, not by accident. The change required is not in behavior, though that will naturally follow. It is not in appearance, though that too may be transformed. The true change is in identity. When you assume a new identity, one that aligns with the life you desire, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself. People will appear who support your new state. Circumstances will shift. Obstacles will dissolve. It may not happen instantly, but it will happen, for the mirror never lies. So ask yourself not, "How can I change the world?" but rather, "Who am I being right now? What is the image I am casting before the mirror of life? And if the reflection displeases me, I need not curse it or despair. I need only to revise the self who is looking." And with that inner revision, quiet, invisible, and persistent, the reflection must follow. The world is not distant from you. It is you. And when you change, it changes, effortlessly, faithfully, and forever. So now you see, the outer is never separate from the inner. The faces that love or ignore you, the doors that open or remain closed, the patterns that repeat or dissolve, all are shadows cast by the light of your self-concept. There is no one to blame, no one to persuade, no one to win over. For the world is not made of others. It is made of you in disguise. They love you because you first loved you. They reflect you because you first became that which you wish to see. Begin not with effort, but with assumption. Not with reaction, but with imagination. Not with proof, but with knowing. Let the mirror reflect the truth you dare to occupy. When you revise the one looking into the mirror, the reflection cannot remain the same. It must shift. It must bend. It must become new. You do not need to be chosen. You are the chooser. You do not need to be given love. You are love. And the moment you claim this, quietly, steadily, faithfully, The whole world begins to echo your song. Go within now. Assume the state. And watch as life unveils its devotion to the one who first loved themselves enough to believe.